Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
We received 4 anonymous emails to the Purple Daily free agency tip line that made it to the show for this Feedback Friday.
Wow. Reckless speculation.
And thank you to all of you who do this, who serve Purple Daily.
Yeah. Now, I my spidey senses tell me there was one for sure that I was like, all right, that's a fake. That's a fake. Someone's taking liberties with the freedom that we are providing the audience and our sleuthing reporters on the ground here. There's another one that's borderline, but who am I to prevent this one from being brought to the show?
Tracks.
Let's just say we received an anonymous tip from a waitress at St. Elmo's Steakhouse in Indianapolis, the main steakhouse next to the Combine Convention Center that all of the NFL high-level people dine at all week this week.
If you had received a tip, so I'm just going hypothetical here, but before we stomp on a tip, right? If you had received a tip on Tuesday that said, "Hey, Phil, I'm at a posh Montana ski resort, and I'm going to tell you right now, I saw Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford talking, and I heard something about a contract." You might have been like,
yeah. And then NFL Network comes in and says, no, that never happened.
That's a bridge too far, right? Turns out it's true.
Okay, before we start reading through these glorious, recklessly speculative emails here on Feedback Friday, let's go to Quick Trip to start the show off the right way here, Judd.
Absolutely. And guess what? You know what? So if you are craving something delicious, Quick Trip, which I have the sweater on right now, they've got a simple message for you, and that is the food is here. Stop into Quick Trip. Delicious appetizers to outstanding hearty meals ready when you are, whether it's a quick bite or dinner on the go. Quick Trip is the ultimate destination for a great food, fresh, fast, and packed with flavor. Fuel your day and your car with Quick Trip. Let Quick Trip make your day easier and better. Look at the options right here. And don't forget the quality gas guarantee as well. And now if you're saying, well, but Judd, I am in a hurry when I go to Quick Trip. I don't have time to go inside and pump gas. I'm going to tell you right now, it's this simple. Just put the app on your phone and they will bring your food out to you. So if you are looking for something for lunch, just know that at Quick Trip, the food is here.
All right, we'll get to these anonymous ones here in a moment, but we have to start with we've been doing these blueprint episodes, and Trace Smith has been a major theme because he is the number one guard on the market. Mekhi Becton. So let's start with these here. Blake Reese is one of a few people that sent us a note who saw yesterday that the Chiefs, he says, are planning on using the franchise tag now on Trace Smith, which comes at no surprise. I think it comes at a little bit of a surprise because they're already paying so much money to a couple other offensive linemen. I mean,
Center.
Mahomes, Creed Humphrey.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think should be the top guard the Vikings will go after now in free agency? I personally think it'll be Patrick Mekari, who is solid and can be a Swiss Army knife. Mekari has been a guy we've talked about from the Ravens. He was their left guard last year, but he's played at least 900 snaps at all 5 offensive line positions. And I'll throw this one in from the YouTube comment section. Snow RS1, Mekhi Becton likely won't come here now with our new assistant offensive line coach. Keith Carter, right, is the name of the... Mekhi Becton was one of the Jets players who went on social media a couple years ago and was not too happy about the Jets bringing back Keith Carter, or whatever the context was. He was publicly not in love with Keith Carter on social media. So probably cross both those guys off the spreadsheet of glory.
Yeah. And we don't know. I think there was a very good chance that the Vikings, the Bears, and a bunch of teams were going to make a run at Trey Smith. On Becton, we don't know. Like, I will say this. I never saw anything beyond our reckless speculation that the Vikings were going to make a pitch for Becton. And clearly they knew that Becton didn't like Carter, so they simply just didn't care, which is, I mean, the Carter thing we talked about is sort of odd. But long story short, I think the Baltimore one makes a ton of sense. Mekari, I think this makes the most sense because he's young enough. He's versatile. He is the type of guy I think that fits the profile. The one question I've got too, and they did it a year ago, but they are trying to, I'm sure, get younger, is this. How many veterans, like true guys into their 30s, third or fourth contract, do the Vikings have on their free agency board? Because you would think that the goal here, and the names that are being tied to the Vikings are probably guys in their mid-20s coming out of contract one.
Yeah.
I'm going to be surprised if they sign a bunch of veterans again. And I think the free agency with the money that they have, which is plentiful, I do think that we probably should be looking at guys coming out of contract one as the guys that they are truly going to try to invest in, which makes a lot of sense.
There's 4 guards then that would fit that, at least high up on the free agent list, that would fit that description of, because there's like the Zeitlers, and I mean, I guess that list is getting shorter by the day because Scherf sounds like he might be retiring, Zach Martin retired, but Will Fries is the 26-year-old right guard from the Colts. Now he's coming off a broken leg, so we'd have to get those medicals looked at by the Vikings staff. Tevin Jenkins, the Bears starting left guard last season, durability has been an issue for him. Like when he plays, he's a really good offensive lineman, but he's good to miss a small handful of games or more every year so far in his career. And then Patrick Mekari, who we've talked about, and Aaron Banks, the starting left guard for the 49ers, 27 years old. So all those guys are 26 or 27 years old. I guess you could throw Liam Eichenberg on there too from the Dolphins. He's a former second-round pick from, 4 years ago? But he has not graded as favorably, nor is his contract projected in the same ballpark as Mekari, Banks, Will Fries, and Tevin Jenkins. So
I wonder, too, because Jonah Williams is now on the trade block, too, from the Rams. I think he was got the green light to go on the trade market, too. So I wonder if even trade market. But they have such limited draft capital that I think that's also going to be very difficult to pull off.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you have so many more resources cap-wise than you do draft pick-wise. And there's a couple other questions because there's players galore out on the trade market. We'll get to one of our anonymous tips involves a player that maybe the Vikings might have interested in a trade, but
love it.
It's like, what are you gonna unless you tag and trade Darnold and now all of a sudden you got 3 extra draft picks? It's like, are you gonna trade one of your 4 picks? So all right, let's get to the first anonymous email.
Reckless speculation.
If you have a friend whose cousin works at a restaurant in Indianapolis, send us your information. We will vet it, and we will probably read it on the show.
We'll vet it.
We've had so many wildly... Well, no, we'll probably read it. We'll probably read it. We'll give it a once-over and see if it sounds fake or fishy.
We might print it out. Probably not.
But it's incredible how spot on a lot of these have been over the last 2 or 3 years. It's crazy. The Purple Daily Anonymous tip line. So this one's from Anonymous. I cannot reveal my exact sources out of respect for the flow of information, but I have heard some rumblings that I think you guys would appreciate. I have relatives on my father's side who are closely associated with people who spend a considerable amount of time inside U.S. Bank Stadium. That's as specific as I can get. At a recent family gathering, and after a few beers acting as a social lubricant, some information was revealed to a small group regarding the Vikings' plans to improve the offensive line. It sounds like the Vikings intend to conduct their due diligence on the big fish like Trey Smith, but now by the way, you could still get Trey Smith, but the rule is you'd have to give the Chiefs your next 2 first-round picks and pay him the $20+ million or whatever. So
right.
But he said apparently the Vikings are big fans of 27-year-old guard Patrick Mekari of the Baltimore Ravens. Mekari primarily played left guard, but also played snaps at tackle and center at various points in the season. We know Kwesi likes to find diamonds in the rough. Mekari fits the bill. I'll keep my ear to the ground for more details.
scale of 1 to 10 truthfulness, I'm going to a 9 on this one. I'm totally buying.
I think it's a 10 on truthfulness because of all the players you could send a fake, anonymous, reckless speculation email about.
Right.
Why would you choose Patrick Mekari?
I like
right?
it. Yep. I'm buying this completely. And it makes a ton of sense. Because one, it gives you the ability, because he can play multiple spots. It doesn't tie you to one place, right? It might be left guard. It might be right guard. You don't know. So I'm buying this, and I would not be. So I do think that Trey Smith was probably at the top of their board until he was franchised by the Chiefs on Thursday. But I now would not be surprised if we got a peek, if we could break into TCL and see the board. I would not be surprised if Patrick Mekari is atop the offensive guard board right now.
Yeah, I think
our comments are on fire right now.
Santa Claus told me you know what? That's fine. Make fun of it. But people remember last year, Justin Herbert to the Vikings, and you all poo-pooed it and said there's no way. And it turned out it was spot on.
Totally. Yep. Mock the recklessly speculative emails at your own peril.
Reckless.
You know what? I would rather trust the PD family to inform us than to be in cahoots with the Vikings and be hiding information I knew because I was afraid to reveal it.
Yeah. By the way, if you are commenting in that comment section, click that like button and the subscribe button if you could on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, and the bell notification button so you can get alerted every time we bring this nonsense into your feed. All right, let's get to the next one. This is the one that I was like, I don't know, man. I'm going to read it anyways.
Good.
I'll put the umbrella on it.
Reckless speculation.
Well, I think of all three of the sounders we have, I think Declan nailed his better than us, like of the reckless speculation sound.
And if I remember right, we were recording those, and I was like, right when the split happened, and us three are now working together, and we wanted to make some new drops, and I did a first take, and you were both like, oh, no. That was terrible. You need to really sell this like it was an acting coach. And then I just went in there and just delivered an Oscar-worthy performance.
It's very like Vince McMahon.
And my throat right now, because I'm still getting over this GD sinus infection and cough, is very Vince McMahon right now.
All right, here it is. Mr. Mackey, this person says, I am a waitress at St. Elmo's in Indianapolis. Now, Judd, if you could, for people that aren't like paying attention to every single detail that we talk about always on the show, why is St. Elmo's in Indianapolis a relevant place for a tip to come from?
It's the preeminent like steak shop in it's expensive.
It's the Manny's, right?
It's where all of the who's who in football go to. And like Jerry Jones standing, I believe, and I'm not joking, standing reservation there. You get the shrimp cocktail, probably about $30 now. Absolutely great. So it is where all of the most important people go, and sometimes the peasants in our side of the business get to go.
Your mic is dying on the vine right now.
Yeah. Just move the mic. Number one, move the mic a little bit closer to your mouth. That'll help a little bit.
The old 1500 ESPN side studio here.
And then I'll actually. I'm going to turn down some of the NFL bed because it actually might be
okay. We can go a
muting a little bit of mic.
Yeah, we can go a cappella here. I'm a waitress at St. Elmo's in Indianapolis. I'm also an elaborate Vikings fan. Today, I was serving a group of professional men wearing suits when I thought one of them looked familiar. It didn't hit me who it was until I overheard something I probably wasn't supposed to while checking on them at their table. It was Kwesi. I realized it was Kwesi at the table.
Okay.
Which, by the way, up until this point, like 1,000% plausible, like very likely that he ate maybe multiple meals at St. Elmo's this week, right? I overheard something about 3 teams being interested in trading for Sam Darnold. Do you think this means Darnold gets tagged and traded? I thought I heard something about a 3rd-round pick in their conversation, but not. This is where I'm like, I don't know. But not sure if it was in relation to Darnold. Anyways, I hope this finds you well and that I don't get in any trouble. Laugh out loud.
It feels like two things. Number one, you know, in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, when Jonah Hill's character keeps going over the table because he's in love with Elvis Snow. It is like this. I'd be that type of Mr. Quasey. Can I get you another refill? Can I do something like just continuing pouring water, providing more bread, like going to the table as annoyingly as possible, knowing the fact I might get stiffed on a tip just so I can say I can hear this information.
I feel like it tracks though, like it does track, because they're like, what they've done here this week is try to stir up a market, right? So that's part of it
for sure.
And a third round pick, like this might be somebody who just knows what we've talked about. But yes, Jim, waitress needs to wear a wire is exactly right. You know what? That's a great idea. How much would you have to pay a server at the restaurant to wear a wire while we sat in a truck outside like the FBI and recorded conversations?
And it's a gigantic purple daily labeled van too.
Yes, yes. Yes, exactly daily. Right. But it would be like the mob, right? Like you got to wear a wire, and then you're recording stuff, and then you get all your scoops from St. Elmo's.
So okay, I love what you did on the last one. We'll do it for all these. 1 to 10 believability scale.
Well, there's a believability. I'm going to give it a 6.
It's like a 5 for me.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll give it a 6. It's believable. I just don't know if the person actually heard this or is putting, like, it's not like there's talk about a first round pick for Sammy. So
it'd be like a third like, well, a third round this year would be more valuable than a third round comp pick next year because you get a player in the building right now, yes, or a piece to move up and down the board right now. So
correct.
All right, let's go to a couple more here.
Reckless speculation.
Anonymous emails in. I hope this message finds you well. Thank you. I randomly met someone with very close ties to the NFL and was told that Tampa Bay running back Rachaad White wants to be in Minnesota and play for Kevin O'Connell. Now, he's in the news because he's like accusing someone of extorting him or something. Something happened there. He's like in the news for
yikes,
some bizarre reasons. Okay. I don't think it's like anything he did wrong necessarily, but anyways, with the potential of Rachaad White being cut by the Bucs, what are your thoughts on the Vikings signing a guy 2 years removed from 1,500 all-purpose yards and possibly to a cheap contract after last year's low production? He's a former third rounder, only 26 years old. So, and I'll get Rachaad White. He can catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. He plays on third down. It's like 4 yards a carry. I don't know. Kind of reminds me a little of the Cam Akers production. He's a good timeshare running back that you're not going to want to maybe pay the $3.2 million base salary to. If it's a trade, he has 1 year left on his deal. 1 year, $3.2 million base. If it's a trade, I'm out because you already could just bring Cam Akers back or draft somebody.
Right.
But exactly. If he becomes available for like $2 million and he's 26 years old and you could bring him in as part of the timeshare, 100% I'd be interested.
Yeah. What's the price?
Couple million. I would, because if he's get his his base is 3.2. If they cut him, is the market going to value him above 3.2 million? I don't think so.
I don't think they will. No, I'm fine with that.
Okay. But believability here, like a 9.
Oh, yeah, it's very high.
Like 7 or 8,
maybe a 10.
Yeah. 2 on the exciting scale, though. 2 on the exciting scale. I was very pumped up by the first 2 you read.
Well, here's the fourth one. This is the last one I have for you.
Reckless speculation.
And I will say I had to edit this even more to protect this. I am protecting this person's identity even more because I feel like even the anonymous way that this was phrased could link back to the person that told this information.
Wow.
So I'll phrase it this way. From Anonymous, long story short, I was at the XL Energy Center for a Wild game recently, and a person who shall go nameless saw my Vikings hat and asked if I was a Vikings fan. I said, sure am. He went on to tell me he has a very close connection to Adam Thielen. I'm editing that to say very close connection to Adam Thielen. I know what the connection is, and it feels very believable. And it just, yeah, this is like a 10 out of 10 on the believability scale. I'll just leave it there.
Wow.
He mentioned he mentioned that he had talked, because I literally think if I were to go further, that this person's, like, not the emailer, but like the person could be in trouble.
I've got an idea about, who it might be.
I don't know if, let me continue. He mentioned that he had talked to Thielen the other week, and Thielen said he's trying to get his way out of Carolina and come back to the Vikings to finish his career in Minnesota.
Okay.
Do what you want with this information.
Oh, totally believe it. Totally believe that. Yes.
And if I were to
100%.
give you the unedited version of this to protect the people's identities, you would say 10 out of 10 believability. I know that the way I presented it, it's like, okay, it's kind of vague.
Yep. Again, excitement level, about a 3 or so, but I totally buy this. And I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I'll go back to what I've talked about quite a bit, which is we don't know how the Thielen thing truly came to an end here. We do know that his wife on Twitter certainly raised some questions about his use, which is what he probably did at home as well. And so, like, are things as peachy behind the scenes with him and O'Connell as it appeared publicly? Perhaps not. But Adam Thielen trying to end his career here would be 0 on the surprise scale to me.
Yeah, it makes too much sense for him to come back for one more cup of coffee, one more run. I mean, he still works out in Woodbury. He's got his training facility, I believe, it's in Lake Elmo, like basically like halfway between me and my mother-in-law's house on Matamidi. So like he's definitely still around here all the time.
He can still catch a football, man. If he's the problem for Carolina, it's like he's at times been their number one receiver target since he got there. And he was banged up a little bit last year. I think he's 35 now. He's going to be 35 in training camp.
Yep.
But as a number 3 guy, if it was Jefferson, Addison, Thielen as your third guy with Jalen Naylor mixing in here and there too, depending on the situation. Yeah, I'm in. He can still play. By the way, PFF graded Adam Thielen 76.5 PFF grade overall last year, 73. Like he's still, he the explosiveness that he once had maybe early in his career, not quite there. He'll get after it as a run blocker too. So totally interested in this. It would have to be something much closer to like a veteran's minimum contract.
Right.
As opposed to what he was fighting for a couple years ago.
Yep.
So, all right. There you go. Keep sending in to the Purple Daily anonymous tip line.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff. So three of the four totally plausible. Like totally plausible. And the St. Elmo's one, if it's not true, is close enough to the truth that it's just parroting what's been talked about.
Is St. Elmo's like Manny's where like they wheel out the cart too of meat? Is it like that? Or
I believe it. Yes. Yeah. Yep. I think they wheel it out and you pick what you want. And then you get the shrimp cocktails that come beforehand, which are absolutely fantastic.
I love a shrimp cocktail.
With the real spicy horsey sauce.
Oh,
this is real horsey sauce here. We're not screwing around.
I know Mackie loves his ahi tuna crisps and has, his standard for bar, appetizers and food and whatnot. But I don't love shrimp cocktail sauce unless it's like some high quality, what. If it's some high quality shrimp cocktail sauce, I'm in. I'm absolutely in.
Horseradish sauce is my favorite though. I love horsey sauce.
So good.
Horsey sauce.
So good.
Horsey sauce. I call it horsey sauce.
Horsey sauce.
I love Judd. Judd's the best. Let's get to the rest of the feedback batch here shortly. We do have an announcement here though. We have an announcement. So two things. We will remind you that Purple Daily Draft Party tickets become available a week from Monday. So keep your eye on that. scorenorth.com/draft. But also, we're going to hold on Thursday, March 13th. So the day after the NFL League Year opens up, we're going to hold our next Purple Daily Unplugged event at Blackstack Brewing Thursday, March 13th, 5 to 7 p.m. Everybody gets a special, hold on a second. There we go. Yeah. Everyone gets a free Purple Daily Black Stack pint glass. I wasn't sure if we officially locked that in, but we did. And there it is on the screen there, too. So, yeah, I mean, tickets are always free for these things, and we just need a head count so we can make sure that we have enough glasses and whatever. So register at scorenorth.com/PD Unplugged. That's scorenorth.com/PD Unplugged. Come hang out with us and discuss Vikings free agency. By then, they will have absolutely made some moves, and we can discuss them over some beverages. It's going to be awesome. MSP Plumbing helping to power Feedback Friday here today too, Judd.
Yep. And guess what? Tuesday, big day at Sports Dad's house. Why? MSP Plumbing, Heating and Air coming out to my house. Water heater in play. They came out to my house on Tuesday, folks. And I'm going to tell you right now, they scouted around and they looked. Guess what? My water heater was from 1994. And they said, this thing should have broke down like 15 years ago. And so I said, that's correct. So come out and fix it. And they're absolutely going to do that. And I know we're going to do a great job. Don't rip me. I didn't know that it was so old. Okay. But what I'm going to get is I'm going to get a new.
That's correct.
No, I hadn't looked at the year on it. I didn't know. I just knew it looked old. Okay.
Well, you know that you've never replaced it, right?
No,
and you know
it's
when
never
you
been replaced. But MSP Plumbing, Heating and Air is going to replace it on Tuesday. They're going to do a fantastic job. And I encourage you, if you're like me and you don't really know about the appliances, I encourage you to also consult with them because everybody needs a guy. MSP is going to make sure that your home is safe and sound. For service, call them 651-615-4292. Call MSP.com. They're going to shoot straight. They're going to give you a good deal, and they are going to help you because if you don't know about the appliances in your house, get somebody who does. MSP Plumbing, Heating and Air. They have the trust of Sports Dad.
How many cups of coffee this morning, Judd?
Judd's on fire, dude.
I think I'm on my third. Well, here's the problem. I brewed so since I don't come in much now, the brewing of the coffee in the office very sporadic.
Yeah.
Like it used to be, there was always a pot, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's not now. So I got here, I brewed it, but the thing is, there are these huge bags, and I just poured all the grounds in. So it's not that I'm going off of 3 cups. It's that I'm flying because I just gave myself like a full bag of coffee.
Brandon says that water heater saw most of the Vikings' great runs outside the 70s.
It did, and now it can be replaced. That's the thing about it, Brandon. That's why we're putting a new one into the Zolgad estate.
I love this show. Okay, people, here's just a quick batch of feedback from people who were unhappy with the Tuesday off-season Blueprint 5.0 episode. I'm just going to give you a little feedback here, and maybe Sports Dad, you can reply to the masses that are mad about us exploring when we say explore all the avenues, that's what we did last Tuesday. We traded J.J. McCarthy, and is it, TornoNet 35? This was the definition of a filler episode. Kevin Sowers said, do your show one day a week. Your show is really starting to suck. Neil Jaworski unsubscribed. Ale Cackling said, never thought I'd support a ban on freedom of speech, but here we are.
Oh, well.
So what is your response to the blowback from the Tuesday episode?
Well, my response is this. First of all, I think we got a lot of comments from the headline for people who didn't consume it at times because there were multiple disclaimers. We did a week of disclaimers. The other thing is we have done 5 of these now. We've done 5 of these. We can't do them. And this is what we talked about. We cannot do every one the same. Like there are certain blueprints that, you know what, I'm on board with.
You can choose your favorite adventure.
And we all said Tuesday, we're not on board with this, but we got a suggestion from a member of, by the way, the Purple Daily family. So, folks, we're all in the family. We might not get along, but we said, okay, that's fine. Let's entertain it. And we did. But the blowback was, I understand you hated it. I'm cool with that. But you got to watch the episode where we all say we wouldn't do this, but let's just go down the path. It was a terrible blueprint, but it plausible as far as what they could do.
one of the biggest, I mean, there were some people that just had an issue with why would you even entertain trading JJ McCarthy, period? Well, because we're, and by the way, according to like NFL Network insiders, all possibilities are on the table. So let's explore all possibilities. But I think the second thing people were upset about is, okay, if you're going to commit to doing it, A, we didn't get enough. And B, why not retain Sam? Why not trade for like, because we had a couple options of trading for the number 3 pick with the Giants or trading for the 6th pick with the Raiders. Instead, we decided to trade for Matthew Stafford in a 3rd rounder. And people thought that, A, that wasn't enough value, which Matthew Stafford's like, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He is a bona fide Super Bowl champion in this offensive system. Super valuable to a team that just won 14 games last year. But people wanted to see what we would do with like a top 5 or 6 pick in the exercise. That was the missed opportunity. And that's fair. I don't know that we can really, because to get the 5th or 6th pick or the 3rd pick, we'd have to repeat that part of the exercise for like 6.0.
Do we want to give this like 2 weeks off or something? Like
we can't. Free agency is in a week from Monday.
But that's right. So that's the point.
We got one left. There's one more blueprint left on Tuesday.
Okay. And we haven't done the one of extending Sam Darnold, right? And I don't know if we can afford to do another. I mean, we haven't done that one, so I feel like we kind of have to do a blueprint where it does involve keeping Sam Darnold.
Well, the thing is, I think Tuesday is the tag deadline, so I would think a deal would be worked out. Well, maybe not. He could hit free agency, in theory, the Vikings could sign him then. So, all right, I'll pose it to you guys and to the commenters.
They're gonna hate it.
We have one more blueprint left on Tuesday. We could also do another one, maybe with Thor on Thursday. We could do like 2 this week. Yeah. Maybe that's the answer. Do we just stick to what we think and want to happen, or do we explore because none of us think that Sam Darnold's coming back?
And the commenters respond like I almost feel like if it's just going to be massively unpopular, let's do something else. Like, let's just do our blueprint again. I was just trying to, in my opinion, we had to freshen things up.
They'd hate it.
Yeah, so let's not do it then. That's fine.
I think on Tuesday, it's hell no more Darnold.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Don't see them keeping Darnold. So maybe what we do on Tuesday is, all right, let's go back with all the information we've gathered. Now, Trey Smith is off the board. There's so much more information from the Combine this week.
Yep.
Let's go back to doing what we would do as a front office on Tuesday and see where that journey takes us.
Yeah, I think that now that like Trey Smith is franchised and there's other like, tentacles that have happened, I think it's our just like our mock opening day lineup we do on the Twin Show. Like, this is the last one. This is the last true blueprint of what we think is probably going to happen in a week's time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joran Skugrud said, why didn't the Vikings franchise tag Kirk last year like you guys are talking about with Darnold? That's a great question. 2 reasons. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Judd, but one, Kirk's agent negotiated a contract or like a void date that essentially did not allow for a franchise tag. But more importantly, Kirk had already been franchised twice by Washington.
Yes,
you can only be franchised 3 times, and a 3rd time I don't think has ever happened in the history of the NFL, because the 3rd franchise tag pays that player 144% of their previous salary. Like their average annual value salary.
Washington franchising him in back-to-back years was incredibly expensive the 2nd time. So yes, that's why.
Rob Remmers says, gentlemen, hope this message finds you well. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Longtime listener from Montana, originally from Iowa. Regarding Brady and his ski tampering, I guarantee you they were at Yellowstone Club, a private playground for billionaires with golf, skiing, and gated mansions. It's multiple millions to get a membership. My sister-in-law worked as a lifty there in college. The slopes are empty. Check it out. Start saving your pennies, Dex, if you want to be a member of the Yellowstone Club.
That explains it.
I've done Big Sky. I've done Copper in Colorado. I've done Whistler in British Columbia, where the Olympics were like 10, 12 years ago. Cool. And the biggest thing is like you go out west, and if you're like you ski or snowboard like I do, like it's an amazing experience. And I'm glad I learned how to snowboard in Minnesota, because like the runs are so small and tiny, but then like you go out west and you're just ruined. you're forever spoiled and you're forever ruined from trying to like ski or snowboard in Minnesota. It's very difficult to accept.
Judd, have you skied or snowboarded?
8th grade trip one time.
Okay.
8th grade trip I skied. I did not really enjoy it.
I downhill skied for the first time in my life a year ago over the holidays with some family. And so we were out there for like probably 7 or 8 hours. We literally, I started with the 6-year-olds on the smallest hill just to like get a feel for what it's like.
Yep.
And by the end, it was kind of fun. I did bite it one time, and my brother-in-law had to like help me up and escort me back down. But like, you pick it up pretty quickly if you've never done it. But I'd be terrified to go out like where Dex is going out in, you know, these big ass ridiculous mountains. I'd be
look,
terrified.
there's black diamonds and double blacks that like even I will stay off of. I'm more of a green square guy. Sometimes or a blue square guy. Green circle. Green's the easiest on a mountain. Blue medium. Black being hardest.
I will say this: it is one of the few it's traditional. It's one of the few Olympic sports I do enjoy watching.
Downhill, all of it.
Fun. Yeah.
The downhill, I mean, that takes some real intestinal fortitude to do. So,
I just saw a comment here float by that we have not done, back to the Tuesday blueprint thing, we have not done the tag and trade with Darnold yet. And that is true. We've kind of held off on that. Maybe that's what we center the Tuesday episode around. We tag and trade.
We haven't done that one yet? Okay. Yeah, definitely. Let's do that.
Or maybe we do it Monday because Tuesday is the deadline and we'll know. So maybe we flip the episodes and do it Monday. We do a little tag and trade.
Yep.
It could be kind of fun. And maybe that's where we invite Thor on. We do a Thor recap Monday of the Combine and just do like an epic long Blueprint 6.0. We'll put our heads together over
3 hours. Just do a 3-hour show for a 5-hour all day long.
Thor trades back like 15 times in the draft.
Yeah.
That'd be
more
his
picks.
dream.
More picks. Let's
Let's see the punters again.
Yeah.
Show me the kickoff return guys again, Phil. I love Thor.
Nabster 18. This is a viable question, so we will answer. He says, "Do the Vikings get a comp pick for the tragic death of Kyrie Jackson, or is that not a thing for the passing of players who are active in the NFL?" It is not a thing. It's just a tragic situation. You don't get like we get that pick back or whatever. It sucks that it happened, and you don't get a pick. Brian North says, "Are we sure about Milton Williams?" He's the defensive tackle from the Eagles. I would love to know. And by the way, PFF projects him to get a $20+ million a year contract as an interior pass rusher. Mm-hmm. I'd love to know what Milton Williams' grades are going back the last 2 or 3 years. I feel like he was a guy that benefited greatly from Jalen Carter. I'd be careful about giving a guy like that huge money as a rotational player, like the Eagles used him as. Not saying the Vikings don't need to address that position, but instead of doubling up on running backs, I would love if they doubled down on defensive linemen in this year's draft, whether it's draft, trade, or free agency.
I've thought about this because the one thing with Milton Williams is this. We've all seen guys sign like him before, and they're really good rotational players. And then we think, well, I mean, if they're starting, the gloves are off. Does that mean I wouldn't sign him? No. Does that mean that the question asked there is a very valid one? I think the answer is yes. I think the Vikings are certainly intrigued, but the Eagles, that interior defensive line is damn good with a lot of depth. And so I don't think it's out of bounds to question how he would do if he was the key guy, and 2, the rotation was not as strong as certainly what Philadelphia has.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say just even looking back at his first 3 years in the NFL, because he was a 3rd-round pick, he was not super highly regarded as like a first-round bona fide stud. And PFF had him as just a guy the first 3 years. His pressure numbers were not excellent. He was just kind of in the rotation and had some potential.
Yep.
2024 was Milton Williams' breakout season by a mile. 54 pressures, 39 hurries, a bunch of sacks, and yet helps when you're playing alongside other ridiculous talented players. So you have to weigh that. Did he individually make a step that warrants paying him $21 million, or was he part of an incredible defense and scheme and rotation And he's really like a $9 to $10 million nice player who someone's going to overpay by $10 million a year. They got to figure that out. John Anglin says, how about an episode revisiting Judd's 2024 camp notes? I seem to remember him reporting on Darnold's cannon-like arm, but also some interceptions and intermediate inaccuracies, and maybe some overthinking, which turned out to be pretty much how he played in the regular season. Also, how aggressive the Flores defense was, giving him problems. Was this not all a preview of the Vikings' losses in the regular season? Might Judd's observations be a predictor of how J.J. McCarthy might be as a quarterback? Did he effectively predict breakouts for other players in the ensuing regular season?
I'd have to go find
Judd's camp notes have been pretty spot on.
Well, I mean, when you stand there on the sideline sweating up a storm in the heat of July and August, I hope so. Trying to think. Oh, boy. Like the quarterback one, the Darnold one, and Phil came out to camp too. The Darnold stuff was pretty much in your face. Like it was his deep passes from day one were gorgeous. The 15 to 20-yard throws were actually, I thought, in the regular season, better than I expected, but they still weren't great. But I would say the biggest camp notes that I'm going to be carrying over when training camp does start in July again, Theo Jackson, especially if Harrison Smith is not back, because he's been a guy that I think I've been singing his praises from training camp for 2 years now, and the team does like him. Trying to think of anything else. You liked who's the UCLA kid, Phil, that you liked a lot?
Gabriel Murphy.
Gabe Murphy, and he did play eventually.
Yeah, the injury kind of wiped out most of his rookie season, but yeah, they love that guy. I mean, they have some major edge rushing depth if they keep the veterans Grenard and Van Ginkel for another year, which it looks like they will. On McCarthy, I guess that's a discussion. Maybe digging through Judd's camp notes for what were you saying about McCarthy during training camp leading up to the injury? A lot of positive stuff. I mean, there was some bad stuff. He's a rookie trying to figure out a complicated defense.
Right before the injury against the Raiders, he had started like the week before that. He had started to play really well and looked. The thing that struck me about him was his command and confidence, which again, it's the intangibles here too. Like the kid, great quarterbacks eventually. I mean, they've got intangibles that are not like quantifiable just through big arm. He had an ability for especially a very young man, I thought, to take control. And the Raiders game, this is why, it's a preseason game. Yes, the defenses are vanilla as possible, but the reason why that game impressed me so much was the control. He felt like, and he was playing with a lot of backups too. And basically what we had seen in training camp for about a week and what we saw in that game, and this is where the story unfortunately came to a sudden halt, was that going into the Cleveland practices against the Browns in Cleveland, that J.J. McCarthy was going to start to get serious work with the first team. And that's where the story ends. But there was definitely, I wouldn't say it was necessarily from day one of camp, but there definitely became a point in time where it was very clear that you could not just say that Darnold had the starting job for sure. And I think the full intention as they went into that Cleveland, the joint practices there, was to see if McCarthy could beat Sam out. So like where we left off in the story, I thought was really impressive.
Yeah.
I think a good maybe rainy day episode of Purple Daily in the future is just going back and looking at the highlights of Judd's camp notes of what either some things that was like, oh, that was funny and didn't come to fruition, or like a precursor of, hey, this guy shined last year like Gabe Murphy, keep an eye on him for 2025. Judd camp notes.
Yep. Couple of things here. Human Dad chimes in. Why are we not talking more about center?
That's fair. That's fair.
We all agree that there's an upgrade at some point there to be had.
So that's actually a great point. The loss of Trey Smith from the market. Okay. If the Vikings regroup and say, man, we were going to, pay Trey Smith $24 million a season, and now he's gone. And we like the guards, and there might be a guard that we sign, but if we were going to try to go Trey Smith and a lesser veteran guard and replace both those guys, could they now pivot and pay Drew Dahlman, the Falcons free agent center? Could they pay him a hefty sum, not in Trey Smith range, and then pivot towards a guard as well? I think with Trey Smith off the market now, that is plausible. because the thing that's most important is, one, I don't think that they hate Bradbury, but severing ties with Garrett, as we've discussed from a salary cap, from a dead cap standpoint, is very simple. And I do think that now that the market has been rejiggered a little bit with guards now changing, that the Drew Dahlman thing, at least, is probably more of a conversation than we have had previously about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that they are going to have 3 completely new starters for those 3 interior spots. But I do think 2 new starters is the goal.
Agreed.
And then it's just, is it a Dahlman and Mekari, and then Blake Brandel slots in. So yeah, and they've got, for the first time in a long time, they've had the money now to go out and actually tinker around with some expensive higher end guards. So I think that's a wrap here. Yeah. We might save 1 or 2 here for a Saturday check down, but good session here. Good session on Feedback Friday. We got our snake draft of the week coming up here. Fictional sports teams, and we'll have to set a couple little parameters on that.
Yeah.
That couple.
Before we do that, let's go to Butcher and the Boar. Butcher and the Boar would be a great if we ever got the NFL Combine here in the Twin Cities. And the Twin Cities is pushing for the NFL Combine.
Yes, sir.
Butcher and the Boar could be a place where the NFL luminaries gather around and talk shop.
Absolutely. In fact, it would not be surprising at all if deals were made at a gathering space that is Southern-style hospitality. Absolutely fantastic. Butcher and the Boar, located in the North Loop. So if you're going to a Wolves game, guess what? Stop in for a meal that's going to be fantastic. Happy hour at Butcher and the Boar, 4 to 6 every day. And how about this? If you stop in and you're going to have a couple of drinks, but you don't feel like a full meal, may I interest you in the Sports Dad Special, a.k.a. the Judd Special? A beer, a brat, and a shot for $15. That includes a huge handmade beer brat with sauerkraut and mustard, any draft beer, any rail shot. Again, just $15. Butcher and the Boar, it is around. It is fantastic. And like Phil said, you know what? If the Combine is ever here, my guess is there could be some serious NFL tampering between quarterbacks and executives at Butcher and the Boar.
Minnesota Rusco is here. If there's any new players that are maybe joining the Purple, and maybe they buy a fixer-upper for their new home, or maybe a home that needs a renovation of some kind, Minnesota Rusco has been Minnesota's hometown remodeler since 1955. Cody and Casey have you covered. The company has almost 70 years of experience with windows, doors, siding, bathrooms, kitchens, decks, roofing, you name it. And if you call today or visit the website today, you can still take advantage of the February sale, which is 70% off all labor on everything and no interest, no payments for 2 full years. Minnesota Roscoe is here. If you want to, I don't know if they can help you with like a 30-year-old water heater. That's probably
just something on Tuesday, by the way, so that's going to be out.
But they can help remodel the room that surrounded that water heater. So if you're looking to make your remodel a reality, turn to the experts at Minnesota Rusco, minnesotarusco.com. Okay, boys. We'll go to Declan for the statistics here in just a moment, but the last handful of weekly snake drafts are the non-profanity insult words we drafted last week, romantic comedies, Super Bowl party foods, coveted championships, and animated characters. This week's snake draft is fictional sports teams, and we'll put some parameters on that here, but what are the latest statistical updates?
So, we are not only watching a potential dynasty in Phil Mackey, who has won 3 snake drafts in a row. A win on this week's snake draft will give Mackey a clean sweep in the month of February.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
So Mackey is 1 win away from sweeping all 4 snake drafts in the month of February. Our statistician, our Stump the Schwab, AJ Fredrickson, has all these statistics for us on the snake draft document for us. So currently, Phil is 12 for 32, Judd 13 for 35. I'm 7 for 29. I haven't won since January 10th. Buddy cop movies. I'm almost on a 2-month dry spell here, looking to snap a streak. Because AJ also tracks this, last place finishes. Judd has the most last place finishes at 12. I'm at 11, Mackey 10. Largest margin of victory, Mackey over Judd for Thanksgiving foods at 66%. The lowest percentage, though, also belongs to Mackey with, let's see here, coveted championship.
It was like it wasn't like 2% or something?
2.3%.
Which included his own vote.
Yes.
Haters.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a little bit of an overview.
I was one of the
Snake Draft.
7 people that voted for my own team there. So if I win, crown me a dynasty if I'm not already. But also, I tie Judd for the all-time lead, right?
Also correct. Yep.
Okay.
Tied at 13.
Well, we've got some
Pressure
races going on here. Random twins.
And you can find the voting after every one of these on the Score North Twitter /X account. So fictional sports teams, I think we have to take, if it's like Miracle and Moneyball, for instance. If it's loosely based on fiction, I think it stays on the board. If it's like straight up based on a true story with very little deviation, like it's the Oakland Days and Billy Bean and it's documenting, or it's Miracle, and there's straying a little bit here and there. I do think we have to draw a line there for fictional sports teams.
I also think, and I think this might be on Mackey's big board. It might be his number 1 pick. But remember, the Titans is a true story.
That's one of those that's like it's based loosely on a true story, but it is the same school and same.
Yeah. But you know, was Sunshine? Was that was he based on a real player or character from that? I don't know. I think that's where there's a little gray area we got to figure out.
What do you think, Judd? Because I don't want to spoil the whole big board, but there's another majorly famous movie that would be
the Hickory High Huskers, right?
How about we make the pick? We make a pick and we decide, because otherwise we might be tipping our hands too on snake drafts.
All right.
Okay.
Is that fair? As we get to your selection, if you make it.
Yeah, I just thought of another one that totally is going to not be controversial at all, but I just want to find out what team they were. All right, let's do that. So,
all right.
But for sure, you can't draft the 1980 United States hockey team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
If somebody wants to draft the Titans, we can figure that out.
That's not fictional. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Dex with the number 1 pick. I get the number 2 pick. Judd with the 3rd pick, and then the wraparound snake draft style. 3 rounds. Here we go.
Okay. I just rewatched this movie the other day, and man, I haven't watched it in forever. It's one of my all-time favorite childhood movies. So give me The Sandlot.
Okay.
It's a sports movie. And it's a sports team.
What's the team?
Yeah.
It's the group of kids. It's the main group. It's the Sandlot team. Yeah. Yeah. What's controversial about that?
Yeah. Well, it's like they're like,
nope, you got it.
They did play a game. Yeah, they mostly practiced. That's okay.
It's an
they didn't have a name, right?
Yeah.
Well, no one's debating that. Just were they a fully formed team? Were they a team?
Yeah.
We're
a team.
Okay.
Let's not have that.
Okay.
It's going to help sabotage him.
Oh, that's why.
You don't think I'm looking out for people's best interest, do you?
Well, the pick is in.
Yeah, no,
that's one of my favorite sports movies of all time. For sure. Okay.
Oh, God, yeah. The dog is fantastic.
All right, give me the Mighty Ducks. I'll take the Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks. Kind of
just I don't know if I have to specify which of the Mighty. I'll take the Mighty Ducks.
Taking the franchise.
Yeah, I do question how the U.S. was it the Junior Olympics team was made up of entirely mostly one district from one part of one state rather than the best players from around the entire.
Yeah. But that's fine. No, but that's fictional. You got it.
They could barely win their district, and then all of a sudden, 2 years later, they make up the Olympic juniors
and then those
team.
kids were goons.
Yeah. Fulton Reed and Porter. Is it the other guy?
Goldberg and Julie the Cat, clearly the better goalie, but Goldberg gets more of the start. They're a flawed team in my they're a team. They're just a flawed team. There's some coaching decisions. Don't like it.
The old school, typical. Let's get the fat goaltenders thing. I mean, come on, that's selling Julie short because she was much better. You're right. She was Tretiak. All right, back to back.
Yep.
Never going to see 2 quicker selections. Yes. I see the comments. Yes, I am taking the Charlestown Chiefs from Slapshot first. I've seen the comments, and it was a no-brainer. My second pick, my back-to-back pick, is going to be the Cleveland Indians from Major League.
So the 1989 Indians, basically, right?
The fictional Rachel Phelps owned Indians from Major League.
Yeah, scrappy team, real scrappy team.
That plane though, that plane was dangerous, you guys.
Well, now the Patriots have that plane
With the propellers. Can you see Robert Kraft? Hey guys, bye.
According to the NFLPA survey, that's what they are using. All right, back to me here, and then we'll go Declan for 2 picks. I'm trying to decide if this is too much of a reach here. There's so many. There's a home. The Titans are one that, like, remember the Titans, but it is very much based on a true story, and I think I'm going to leave that one just for someone else to debate here. Give me the Average Joes from Dodgeball. The Average Joes.
Okay.
Declan almost fell out of his chair. He is muted. I don't know what he said.
Oh, you wanted that one bad?
Sniped me. Sorry, I've been coughing. It's a whole thing. Yeah,
you've had a rough week.
That was it.
Declan's had a really rough week, which is why his patience is so gone.
In the best I have felt in like 2 weeks, but this has been 2 weeks of hell of coughing and waking up like the Mucinex monster. It's just been awful. It's been terrible.
Nothing worse.
Well, now you get to round out here with your last 2 picks and finish the week as strong as you can.
Okay. Give me the Toon Squad from Space Jam.
That's a sneaky pick right there.
Toon Squad from Space Jam. Okay, so I'm between 2. Yes, if you can hear Vinny from downstairs, he's also very by the back door asking, "Can I go out for the 15th time in the last 2 hours?"
I'm in the studio.
So I have a few options here that I really like. One that I think is a little bit of a reach because I don't know if our audience really grew up with it, but it was a phenomenal team. I don't know if I want to go here. Man, but also I could take the other team in dodgeball, and I could take the Purple Cobras.
You could.
Because, I mean, even though the Average Joes are the face and the good guys, I mean, you got Walt Goodman, who's honestly maybe more iconic than Vince Vaughn's character. And on paper, that team should have destroyed the Average Joes. Like, it's honestly, it's a great comeback story for the Average Joes. But I also loved the Purple Cobras as well. I think I'm going to take the Purple Cobras.
Wow. The Purple Cobras here. It's a highly entertaining team. It's an iconic dodgeball team. All right, I'm back on the clock. My final pick here. Oh, man. I will say, like, remember the Titans, I'm just taking off my big board because I don't want to have a controversial debate and whatever. So it is very much between 3 options for me right now. I feel like, so I've gone hockey, I've gone dodgeball. Oh, man. Okay. Give me Cobra Kai. I'm going to take Cobra Kai with my final pick.
Like
one of the most iconic karate team in the history of America. Now, I would say, like, their win-loss record in big events, not quite as big as maybe their status, but iconic enough to even launch a spin-off show.
I was going to say
6 or 7 seasons on Netflix.
Yep.
So you're taking Cobra Kai from the first Karate Kid movie, not necessarily the Cobra Kai TV series, which.
No, I'm taking Cobra. Like I took Mighty Ducks. I'm taking Cobra Kai.
Franchise.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
taking Cobra Kai.
All right.
Yeah, and that puts Judd on the clock here with the final pick.
Okay, I'm gonna stick and pick with what I grew up with, and this is one of the speaking of ragtag little league teams or small town hockey teams that stink, and then overcome it. Walter Matthau and the Bad News Bears.
Yeah. You should definitely have the old school vote here.
Another franchise too, because I think we ended up with 3 movies.
Okay,
3 or 4 movies. The first one's the greatest one, but the Bad News Bears.
So there it is. All right, here are the teams, the fictional, and we can talk about the undrafted free agent list because there's a bunch more we haven't we haven't brought up here. So Dex winds up with the Sandlot team, the Toon Squad from Space Jam, and the Purple Cobras from Dodgeball. Judd winds up with the Charlestown Chiefs from Slapshot, the Cleveland Indians from Major League, so like the late 80s, early 90s Indians. Because there was two Indians Major League movies. Then there was Major League 3, which was actually back to the minors, and it was a Twins affiliate. It was like was it the Salt Lake Buzz or something?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Pretty sure. Roger Dorn was on the team. I don't know. And then I wind up with the Mighty Ducks, the Average Joes from Dodgeball, and Cobra Kai from Karate Kid. Voting available soon on the Score North Twitter /X account.
Comments are filled with a lot of it's very close. It feels like it's going to be very close.
Yep. So, okay, who was left? I'll give you one that was
that's a good one.
I wanted the 1994 Twins from Little Big League to overcome a 12-year-old manager and still get to a game 163 is pretty wild. So,
and that kid, the thing that impressed me a lot about the kid was he managed people really well. Like he'd call him in the office.
I don't think he did.
Him down. I felt like he improved.
He alienated multiple guys on that team.
But he'd call him in and ask him what their problem. I felt like as things continued, he actually improved. I mean, he was a young man. So here's the best part. His mom in the movie, the kid's mom, is the real life mom of Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you think about it, the kid looks just like her. Pete Crow Armstrong looks a lot like his mom, and that's not a put down.
That's usually how it works.
It's the genetics. I know you're shocked by that, but next time you see him, Pete Crow Armstrong, you're like, yeah, that looks like the mom.
Kind of looks like his mom. That's great.
That's why. It's how genetics work, folks.
Mean Machine from Longest Yard's a good one. That's also a really good one.
The Little Giants. Anyone think about taking the Little Giants?
Angels
incredibly creative trick play offense.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't think about that one.
Okay. How about the high school? I don't even know what the team is, but whatever the Teen Wolf High School team was, with Michael J. Fox as the star player.
Yeah,
it's kind of a deep track.
That's the
Miami Sharks. Is that from Any Given Sunday?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's what it's from. The bobsled team from Cool Runnings. That's a true story.
It is technically would
true
not
story.
Qualified.
So I don't think we could take it, but that's a great movie. I love that movie. And Blue Mountain State was okay. I didn't love Blue Mountain State, but people sang Blue Mountain State as well. Friday Night Lights. Yeah.
Varsity Blues. Yeah, there's some good ones.
Yep. So, all right, let us know. Let us know in your voting on the Score North Twitter /X account who takes this one home, and keep sending suggestions for snake drafts because we've done these for like 9 months, I want to say, and I have a list of maybe 20 stockpiled here. There's probably 10 that we could instantly do and have a great time with, but keep helping us stockpile that list for other snake drafts that you'd like to see us do. All right, dudes. Here's your Feedback Friday. We'll continue to monitor the rumblings from St. Elmo's Steakhouse in Indianapolis, and we will continue to monitor the Purple Daily Anonymous tip line. We'll see you guys tomorrow for a Saturday check down episode. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.